Thailand's anti-government protest leaders have declared an end to today's demonstration after vandalising the police headquarters in Bangkok. They've vowed to return to the streets in a week's time following a day of rallies in the capital. Hours ago, protesters had gathered outside the police headquarters, spraying graffiti and hurling paint at the compound. They're angry over riot police firing water cannons and tear gas at demonstrators yesterday. Several were reportedly shot and more than 50 people were injured in the most violent clashes in months. At the same time, lawmakers have voted to pass 2 bills on constitutional reform, but they've also rejected 5 other proposals.
And let's speak with May Wong now with the very latest from Bangkok. So, May, it looks like most of the protesters have called it a night, but not without making a statement first at the police headquarters.
Definitely, they are calling it a night, and they have actually left this entire area. Previously, it was just packed with a lot of the protesters almost shoulder to shoulder and elbow to elbow, but now the road is clear. In fact, traffic is allowed to resume here. But obviously, they have made their mark, and I want to show you exactly what they have done here. This is the so-called wall of graffiti that they have left behind earlier. They were splashing paint onto the signboard, and this is the signboard belonging to the police headquarters. This is very, very significant because they were not just tossing paint over at the signboard, but they were also tossing some projectiles across into the compound of the police headquarters. This is because they say they are just reciprocating exactly what the police did to the anti-government protesters on Tuesday when the police fired water cannon filled with dye as well as tear gas at the protesters. So now the protesters say we're just giving it back to the police. I also want to show you it's not just this particular signboard that's been affected. Now you've got this entire stretch of the whole police headquarters gate actually that is filled with paint. In fact, more importantly, I can still smell the fumes in the air, the toxic chemicals that are still lingering in the air. In fact, the protest leaders were telling people, please don't light any lighters or smoke here because you could just set this entire place on fire. Also, you can see the amount of paint that was being used here and the amount of spray paint as well. And earlier I saw them just really dousing this entire wall here filled with paint, and now people are just taking selfies and photographs. In fact, the police headquarters were expecting the fact that the protesters were going to gather here to show their anger as well as their displeasure over what the police have done. A lot of the signs also say that the police are servants, and in fact, they are very disappointed with the police officers saying that they should be protecting the people, but instead ended up hurting the people. And this is the sign as well as the mark that they have left behind to remind the police officers that they are civil servants and that they should really consider the people's welfare at heart. More importantly as well, the police have come out to say that this is really unacceptable. This is breaking the law, and they are now gathering evidence to perhaps prosecute any of the perpetrators or those who have broken the law down the road. But the police have also justified their actions on Tuesday to say that the protesters were showing that they were very violent or getting violent, and that's the reason why they had no choice but to fire the water cannons as well as the tear gas to try and disperse the crowd. But obviously the protesters are disagreeing with all of that, saying that they did not have any weapons on them and that what the police did was just absolutely excessive. Now they are going to take it the next step further. This is just one part of it, and already they've shown they've elevated their disagreement as well as their anger with the system. Next thing they're going to do, they're going to actually gather on the 25th of November, which is next Wednesday, right in front of the Crown Property Bureau. And that bureau is an office that manages the estate and the property of the monarchy. So you can just see how much they're going up in terms of elevating the tension as well as the challenge towards the monarchy, because you remember here, the monarchy reformation is one of those demands that the protesters have been asking for. So they're taking it to the Crown Property Bureau, and then subsequently after that, they're also planning to meet every day over a week. And that is a sign that they say they are going to continue on making their demands heard until they see a real reform in this country.
And quite a lot of cleanup involved as well. Well, thanks very much, May Wong there, speaking to us live from Bangkok.